Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, NXT, as you probably saw last week, we have a brand new NXT champion, and that is, say his name, and he appears. Yep, Joe Hendry is now our NXT champion, but the real question is, what's next for him? Because we know there'll be targets coming in every angle for him. And of course, we have taking place a lot of chaos. As you heard what HBK last week, he likes his chaos, so it's going to be a chaotic night. But first things first, if you guys are big fans of the Japanese wrestling scene, you're in luck. The first one we're going to be reviewing, of course, is from New Japan, part of the road to the new beginning. As we head to Osaka, they make another return to Corkin Hall for some preliminary matches that will take place in Osaka. And then finally, as you know, Pro Wrestling Now will have their final episode of the season of Monday Magic Rising Sun, featuring, of course, two title matches, the GHC Hardcore title and the GHC Women's title. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Then after that, of course, as always, we wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get to it. So let's begin with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, The Road to New Beginning. This is the recent show that took place on the 8th of February, which is day 10. And of course, this was in Osaka, but not in the bigger stage. This was at the Adion Arena Osaka number 2, which is a small venue. Many wrestlers, many promotions been in that venue, such as, of course, Stardom, Mighty Gold. Very smaller venue, not like the big one we're probably going to see on the 11th, of course. Um, our first match, we have Nazatora Yasuda versus Hiromu Takahashi. Now, obviously, as you all know, recently it was revealing that Hiromu will be leaving New Japan. It was very, very surprising, shocking event, but this was going to be a very interesting one. Now, obviously, because Yasuda is a young line, obviously he was going to lose, and of course he did. Now, of course, Hiromu could have beaten him by using his personal arsenal, like the Time Bomb 2, and whatever. But nope, he decided to use the Young Lion technique, which is, of course, the Boston Crab that everybody knows and learned from as a young lion. But of course, that's how it ended with Yasuda tapping out. But of course, Hiromu did a post match promo giving some words of encouragement to Yasuda. I don't know what he said, but I'm sure it's very encouraging. So we'll see what Yasuda would do in the future. Now, our next match, we have Katsuya Murashima and Tiger Mask. They take on Shoma Kato and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, keep in mind, folks, Murashima and Kato, they are set to leave on their excursions on different times. But however, of course, many of you know this, the Tiger Mask is set to retire later on this year. So that's probably one of the reasons this match is happening. Now, of course, either way, in both sides, uh, anybody could have won because you would assume that it was Murashima Okato that would be the one to take the fall, but nope. It was Tiger Mask that picked up the win by using a Liger Bomb suplex onto Shomokato, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, we have TMDK, consistent of one half of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Kosei Fujita, along with Hartley Jackson, Rohei Oya, and Zack Sabre Jr. They take on Ryusuke Taguchi, Bolton Oleg, and the Bishamon, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto. Now, keep in mind, Oleg and Bishamon are the current never openweight six-man tag team champions, and of course, Jackson, Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. are the current challengers. So you probably can call this a preliminary match involving that. But one thing we have to be aware is when it comes to Taguchi, you don't want to get his rear ass in front of you because what you're going to get. But however, Fujita took matters in his own hands and destroyed him completely. So he looked more like he was destroyed. But, however, that wasn't the case because Taguchi got himself crushed by Jackson with the Death Valley bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have the House of Losers. Dick Togo, Yujiro Takahashi, and Doiki and Narita taking on Toru Yano, Master Wato, Yo, and Aaron Wolf. Now, keep in mind, Ren Narita, as you know, is the current challenger for the Never Openweight Champion that will challenge Aaron Wolf. And don't forget, it was Aaron Wolf who humiliated Evil by defeating him at Wrestle Kingdom to become the Never Openweight Champion. And now Ren Narita, of course, is challenging. But of course, when it comes to the House of Losers, we all know their usual tactics. They distract referees, they use weapons, they use unnecessary tactics, and that's exactly what they did. But however, it was Narita with the hellish guillotine onto Yao, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So basically, Narita is sending a direct message to Aaron Wolf. So we'll see how things will go from there. Now, our next match, we have El Desperado teaming up with Yuya Uemura and Shomokato to take on Unbound Company, Daiki Nagai, Oscar, and Yudo Ice. Now, don't forget, Yudo Ice and Oscar are the current IWGP heavyweight tag team champions known as the Knockout Brothers, and they will be defending their belts on the 11th against Uemura and Umino, so that you can call this as a primary. So basically, who's going to walk out with the momentum to that, and that's pretty obvious reasons. Now, Daiki Nagai, who is pretty much still a young lion in some ways, well, basically, he is learning a lot from Oscar and Yudo, but however, he ended up on the wrong side of the Pinche Loco by El Desperado, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. However, while Uemura and Shomokato, along with Despi, are celebrating, well, the Knockout Brothers retaliated by attacking them from behind, so you can guess that it became a point of retribution on that. So that's how things end, but we'll see what happens on the 11th. Now, our next match, as you know, the war between the United Empire and the Unbound continues to rage on. The United Empire, we have Zane J, Jacob Austin Young, the Great Khan, and Henare taking on the Unbound, Robbie X, Taiji Shimuri, Hiromu Takahashi, and Drilla Maloney. Now, obviously, if you all know, Drilla Maloney got hurt in some capacity, so to continue to monitor him, how has he been doing? Because, of course, they have to keep close an eye on him. But, however, of course, we know that the United Empire will definitely target that arm. But luckily, it was Robbie X that was able to pick up the win when he applied the X Express on Zane J. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, the Unbound picked up the win. But however, of course, the United Empire, who are a bunch of sore losers, retaliated back by attacking them, sending a direct message. So you can guess how that's going to turn out. Now, our main event, we have, of course, more with the United Empire and the Unbound. Representing, of course, the United Empire is Cal Newman, Francisco Akira, and Jake Lee. They face the Unbound Ghetto, David Finlay, and Yota Tsuji. Now, keep in mind, this is a double preliminary match for everybody. As you know, Cal Newman is set to challenge David Finlay for payback for what happened in that steel cage match a year or two ago. And of course, Jake Lee is the challenger for the IWGP Championship. So you can guess how that's going to be. So, of course, they are determined to prove their point that they are the ones that the United Empire are now taking control of New Japan. But, however, it was in fact Jake Lee that picked up the win by putting Ghetto in a headlock. And, of course, the ref called it. Then the post match, all hell broke loose. We did see, of course, Newman and David Finlay continue on. And then Francisco Kara set out a message to Hiromu telling him that it's pathetic that he was leaving him, that he's going to end his career on the 11th. Now, some of you may question, why does he want to end it? Simple. Francisco Kara had one mission to do from the very beginning when he first went to New Japan. Will Ospreay said that the junior heavyweight division has become a mess since he left, since he transitioned from junior heavyweight to heavyweight. And Francisco Kara is the one who's going to set things right. And he feels that Hiromu has to pay the price for that. But we'll see what happens on the 11th. So right now we are done with New Japan. Let's move on with Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah, Monday Magic. Now, for those who have been not following this particular show from Noah, this happens, of course, every certain moment during the season. So they only go out with, of course, 4 episodes, and this is just the start of 2026. Now, this is the final show, of course, that happened on the 9th of February, which was a Monday. We opened up with the GHC Hardcore title. Yes, guys, it is a hardcore title. That means you can use whatever. Chairs, ladders, tables, trash cans, kendo sticks, whatever. Now, Titus Alexander won this belt on the first episode of the season of Monday Magic, defeating I think it was Hayata. But however, of course, the much recent challenger that issued the challenge was the week before that, which is Masato Tanaka, who is no stranger to hardcore or death matches. And that kind of sets it up. However, of course, I'm sure they tried to beat the crap out of each other, tried to make themselves look more in excruciating pain, whatever weapons they use. But it was Masato Tanaka who picked up the win, gaining the title by applying the sliding D. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new GHC Hardcore Champion. Now, of course, Russell, the producer of Monday Magic and founder, Rosawa Rangai, put out a promo announcing, of course, the matches involving for the Universe Cup, which is a collaboration not only with Noah, but also with DDT, Bazari Pro, and other promotions, which is going to be a lot of fun. Now, our next match, we have a 6-woman tag team match. So we have the Yoshis taking the stage in this one. We have Miyuki Takase, Maria Malenko, and Sophia Sivan. They take on Zones, Dream Girl Ali, and Olivia Rose. Now, nothing much. I'm not too familiarized with some of the girls, especially those who are not even Japanese. But I had heard some names like Dream Girl Ali. I've seen her plenty times during the Jacksonville days of AEW and that sort of thing. But it was a pretty good match. But however, it was Rose to pick up the win when she applied a sharpshooter onto Maria Malenko, and just no Maria Malenko applying a sharpshooter onto Olivia and Rose, and just like that, it was completely over by submission. Next match, we have a 4-way. We have Archie Cole versus Dragon Bane versus Hayata versus Eita. Now, of course, when it comes to 4-ways, it's chaotic because you don't know how this is going to end, because no one is entirely how things is going to go. When a pin has happened, the other two have to find a way to stop it, and no matter what, so they can pick up the win. But it was a pretty good match. But however, it was Hayata that picked up the win by pinning Archie Cole, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Next match, we have like a bit of an international 8-man tag match representing certain countries. Our first match, we have Izzy Dame. I'm going to say he's representing the UK. No, Izzy James, I think. Nathan DeWint from France. We have Rich Port Aya from Puerto Rico. We have Soda Pop. I don't know who he represents. We have Galeno del Mal from Mexico. We have Chase Emery. Ike Navarro. I know he's from Spain. And then, of course, Danny Duggan. That was a pretty good match. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of things that could happen. But the match ended with, of course, well, we did see some interference coming from Sonny Ono. Many of you know him. He used to be the manager for Ultimo Dragon and various other wrestlers. He even got involved by grabbing Chase Emery's foot, and just like that, it was completely uncalled for. But however, it was um, Navarro that picked up the win on Ayala, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So it was pretty good. Not going to mention the good international stage into the mix. Our next match, we have All Rebellion, consisting of Alejandro and Kaito Kiyomiya. They take on Los Tranquilos de Japón, consistent of Bushi and their newest member, Rusei. So basically, he is now official member of the faction. Um, it was a pretty good match. I wasn't too sure I was gonna see some classic Bushi techniques and all that stuff, but nope. It was Kaito Kiyomiya with the Shining Wizard onto Rusi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, All Rebellion picked up the win. Then Bushi did out a promo. Don't know what he said. Everything went well. Now, our main event is the GHC Women's Championship. Mayu Iwatani defends it against the Great Sakuya, who is the daughter of the Great Muda. So basically, she issued this challenge, this belt, since the start of the season of Monday Magic, and now it's a reality that's gonna happen. But of course, there was one moment that was very interesting. We all know that Great Sakuya likes to spit out the green mist onto her opponents. Well, Mayu prevented it, and then she locked lips onto her, sucked the mist out, and spit it out onto her face, putting her down, out for the count, and then the moonsault, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the championship. So, basically, she is still the GHC Women's Champion. So, who's going to be next? I don't know. So, we'll see what happens. So then Mayu did a promo. Don't know what she said, but everybody's behind her as always, 100%. So as of right now, we're done with Pro Wrestling Noah. Let's move on with NXT. All right, NXT. We open up with the celebration of a brand new NXT champion, Joe Hendry. Now, of course, Joe Hendry of course, told the fans that he is their new NXT champion. Then he, of course, mentioned about surviving the chaos, which was, of course, the ladder match that took place last week. But however, Jackson Drake, with his big boy diapers, as you know, decided to cry about it because he felt that that Joe Hendry had no business being at the ladder match after taking the beating, because he even admitted, yes, it was us who attacked you. Of course, Jackson Drake was going to try to find ways to ensure he climbed the ladder, but it failed. And now he was telling him that he wants a title shot, so Joe Hendry decided to give it to him, not until he got beat up in a 3-on-1 situation. Now, we did see in the back, well, Zarya and Soruka, it seems like things are falling apart for them. We don't know what's going to happen in the main event because it's a very interesting stipulation, but we'll see what happens. Now, Jada Parker, as you know, was talking about, of course, Blake Monroe. Well, this time she's going to face her, which we jump into the whole thing. Now, of course, Jada Parker, you can tell that she is determined to hurt Blake Monroe the way she's been attacking her recently. But however, things did not go according to plan for both, because of course they both were focused on each other to destroy each other. And the referee was calling the match outside, a countout, and just like that was over. But however, the fight was never officially over. It may be over by the bell ring, but nope, the feud does not end there. Even refs couldn't stop it. They even hired security. Blake Monroe tried to run for it, but because security got involved, well, they get an ass beating from Jada Parker. If I was Blake Monroe, I watch my back. That's what I would do. Now, Mr. Stone, as you know, well, I don't want to say that he's put himself in a bad position, but I feel like he's being put in the biggest pressure of his career. He was minding his own business in the back. Well, Keanu Carver, as you know, is pissed off for obvious reasons. As you know, he's upset that Jackson Drake is getting a title shot and not him. But Mr. Stone told him, look, he was the one who approached him and it happened. It's simple, you know. And he tells him, look, right now, Shawn Michaels is telling me he wants chaos. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So looks like Keanu Carver kind of took that line in consideration. Don't know what exactly is going to happen, but we'll see. Now, Tatum Paxley put out a little bit of a video vignette talking about how the person she should be because of something that she's been hiding. And we know Izzy Dame has been trying to unlock her or whatever situation, but seems that the feud between them is far, far from over. Now, as you know, we saw Uriah Connors last week, as you know, walk out of Chase U, you know, and all this, joining Stax, Lexus King, and Ariana Grace. Well, Kale Dixon decided to talk to him about what's going on, but of course, the same old situation. Uriah Connors decided to move away from that scene, so we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our next match is part of the Speed Tournament, as you know, to determine who will be the next challenger for Jasper Troy. Ilio Lafreux actually got his opportunity, but this time he's facing Eli Knight, and he's facing a big dude, Josh Briggs. Now, Josh Briggs, he's a strong, powerful dude. You don't know exactly how this guy's going to take you out. But we thought that he could have picked up the win, but nope, Eli Knight applied a very big moonsault, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he's going to be facing Ilya Dragunov to see who will get the spot. But however, during the post-match, Ilya Lafreux showed up to show some respect and say who's make the best man win. But however, both men were taken out by Jasper Troy, sending a clear message. Now, Mr. Stone, as you know, is concerned over Lola Vice after her hand got taken out by Kalani Jordan last week. However, he wants to push her match from her till next week. But of course, Lola Vice said, look, she may have taken out my hand, but I still got some feet. But of course, Mr. Stone just doesn't want to have her be in a bad position. But however, while this was being, try to console, well, one of the referees informed the doctors a situation occurred. But while that was happening, Kalani Jordan attacked Lola Vice once again, attacking her with on the injured hand that she shattered. But however, the concern that was going on, we saw the chaos that Keanu Carver has taken out. He took out multiple men, sending a clear message that he is enjoying the chaos. Now, we head to the stage. Stark State, as you know, well, let's just say they set out the standards. And of course, you know, Dion Lennox said that he is, of course, meant that they should be in the main event and, of course, winning the NXT title. But the one thing that was really also they mentioned is Tony D'Angelo, you know, telling him that, you know, you're being a selfish prick, you know, coming after us. They think that it's, you know, they don't need to deal with him. But however, of course, as you know, Sugar Shaquam and, of course, Griffin Oasis are the current NXT champions. And they're looking at the fact that they have people gunning him. The calling was amongst them. But later, of course, we did see not only the culling saying they'll be coming after him. So it's OTM, Hank, and Tank. But while, of course, Sugar and Oasis were dealing with the whole mess, well, Dion Lennox and James Cutler are in fact or got themselves taken out by Tony D'Angelo. So it's becoming chaotic, just like Shawn Michaels said he wants it. I don't know how Mr. Stone is going to deal with this, you know, which is kind of crazy. Now, of course, we did see Mr. Stone talked to Kelly about what's going to happen. So there's going to be a number one contendership next week for a three-way. It's going to be OTM, Hank and Tank, and The Calling. And of course, when Mr. Stone made his way to the office, Shala Hill was there. He was saying he had other plans that he wanted to do. Now, of course, Ethan Page, as you know, he has no intentions in defending the North American title. While Shala Hill made his way out, he made his way back in to look for of course, his little machete, whatever. He was planning to play Jason Voorhees. Of course, because of that, it kind of forced Mr. Stone saying, well, here's your competitor for the North American title. Like, he just like, no, you got to be kidding me. So it kind of ended up in that worst way. Now, our next match, of course, is the NXT Championship. Jackson Drake versus Joe Hendry. Now, of course, wherever Jackson Drake goes, well, Tweedledee and Tweedledum are not that far from behind. We're talking about Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Of course, they were going to interfere, but oopsie, the referee caught them and sent them to back. So basically, Jackson Drake has to find a way to win, but apparently it didn't do any good for him because, of course, he ended up in the standing ovation, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Joe Hendry in his first title defense retained the title. But however, he was attacked by a hooded figure that turned out to be Ricky Saints, also who is wearing big baby diapers, crying about he should have won the NXT Championship. So basically, all hell is breaking loose. Now, in the back, we did see, of course, Ren QCC, of course, talking about their game strategy, knowing too well that they don't care who actually wins between them, as long as they got the chance, and that's all that matters. So that's the idea what we're going to do. Now, our next match, we did see, of course, Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Together, they're known as Sweat Right, but part of the Vanity Project, taking on Hank and Tank. And I thought the match was fantastic, very impressive. But however, at some point, we did see OTM and the Calling showing up. And then, of course, all hell broke loose. Now, when things thought everything was going back on track, well, Jackson Drake showed up and helped his buddies out by taking out Tank, and then Brad Baylor pinned Tank, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, the Vanity Project stole the win. Now, we did see, of course, Sean Legacy talking about, of course, his unfortunate loss, and not to mention dealing with Keanu Carver. So he said, look, how about me and him will take each other on in 2 weeks' time in Georgia. So that kind of sets it up right there. Now, of course, the Vanity Project celebrating the fact that they won, and they said, look, we pinned one of the former tag champions, so make this match into a four-way. So they told this to Mr. Stone, and it did. Now, I don't know how everybody's going to feel, but I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Jackson Drake gets involved. But if I was the Dark State, I take matters in my own hands and deal with them. Now, our next match is a tag match with a very unique stipulation. Whoever makes the pinfall is the number one contender, the challenge for the NXT Women's Championship, which is a very unique thing, so I didn't expect that coming from them. But we were wondering how Zurica will actually, of course, survive this. Well, apparently there was a moment where Zarya did not even notice that she tagged Soruka in. I don't know if Soruka was well aware, but she applied a Soul Snatcher onto Kendall, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Soruka won. So I don't know what's going to happen, but you can tell that sooner or later, Zarya is going to snap one way or another. So we'll see how that plays out too. So as of right now, we're done with NXT. Let's end it with our news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events with GCW stuff first. As you know, on the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, they'll be in LA for the coldest winter. They just announced that El Fantasmo will be in action to take on KJ Orso, formerly known as Fuego del Sol. And then, of course, the following day, on the 15th of February in Phoenix, Arizona, for Holy Smokes, we have Effie versus one called Manders. And then we have Juicy Finau taking on CPA. Well, CPA, in my opinion, he'll probably get pancaked. So we'll see about that. And then, as you know, they'll be making their way to Chicago for Ransom on the 8th of March. It was announced the Violence is Forever will take on the Clowns, the brothers of Funstruction. Let's see how that rolls up. And then, of course, finally, we have the two Las Vegas shows. Bloodsport 15 that will take place on the 17th of April in Las Vegas. They just announced Ray Jazz will be participating. And then, of course, we have the Joey Janela Spring Break taking place also on the 17th in Las Vegas. They have announced the final match. They just announced Sandman will be having his final match, and his opponent will be none other than the Invisible Man. I'm kind of curious about that. And then we move on with some West Coast Pro updates here. As you know, on the 27th of February, they'll be making their way to LA for the first time. They just announced Gary J to be participating, but later on they did announce that he'll be facing against Jaya Jewel, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, as you know, we have the West Coast versus the World on the 16th of April in Las Vegas for part of the new initiative. Senka Akatsuki will take on Danny Luna. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. Then we move on. Of course, as you know, Prestige Wrestling will have their final show later on this month on the 20th, Roseland 13. They just announced Tracy Williams will take on someone he's well familiarized, Alan Angels, formerly known as Five. New promotion I did not know existed, but this one played an important role. There's a promotion called the Romanian Pro Wrestling, and two people will be participating in this, and many of you know him and his wife, Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. So both of them will be in in matches of their own for championship. Killer Kross will be challenging the RPW heavyweight champion, Florentine Papa, for the title, and of course Scarlett Bordeaux will be challenging for the Queen of the Castle title against the French Hope Amel. That's going to be interesting to watch. And then, of course, we have the Canadian promotion, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, Global Wars Canada, which Ring of Honor on 27th and Uprising on the 28th of April. They just announced Psycho Mike will be involved. I've seen him. He's a very interesting wrestler to watch. And then, of course, we have the collaboration between the Seattle-based promotion DEFY with Dragon Gate, of course, for crossover that will take place soon on the 10th of April in Portland, Oregon. They haven't announced who will be participating, but I can't wait to see. And then finally, we have RevPro with their 14th year anniversary, which is months away on August. The undisputed British heavyweight tag team titles will be on the line. The current champions, Young Guns, will defend it against the, of course, FTR, which is going to be interesting to watch. So that's pretty much it for upcoming events. Let's move on to the developments here on this section of the news updates. Fightful selects that Steph de Landers has announced that, of course, she is accepting bookings for the first time in nearly 2 years. As you know, she was sidelined due to an injury, and it's great to hear that she's getting back, of course, in the ring. Now, David Finlay told Fightful Select about Evil about him leaving. He said this: Evil, he got beat by Olympian gold medalists and quit out of shame. I mean, possibly that's what happened, so we'll see. And then, of course, Fightful reports about Samoa Joe. Apparently, he's been placed on concussion protocol. Keep in mind, guys, when it comes to concussion, AEW, they don't mess around with that. They take protocol saying, sorry, you have a concussion. You got to sit out. So it's still unclear exactly what happened, but I'm pretty sure it's probably going to keep that on the wraps for the time being until something has been foretold. Now, Maika, as you know, spoken to, of course, Tokyo Pro Wrestling about, she said she's been consulting with Mina Shirakawa about disbanding EXV. The reason she did that is because she's been considering going on her own as a singles run, like probably not relying on factions anymore, but I'm not sure if that's the case. So we'll see about that. Now, Taro Okada recently had an interview about the situation with Tam Nakano. Let me pull that up real quick for all of you so we can get to that. So this is what he said. Terrifying match interrupted due to injury. President Okada explained the circumstances. Entire responsibility lies with the promotion. Reveals behind the scenes coordination between doctor and referee. So basically they were concerned about Tam. As you all know, Tam was on the verge of quitting because of the injury she obtained. Remember, she was out for a while and she gave up the title due to her being afraid. And there was talks about this because we asked her. There were people saying how much time that she has. I mean, her injury seems like it was serious, so that kind of sets it up right there. Now, also regarding, of course, anything else, Senka Akatsuki, I mentioned she'll be participating in Marvelous Las Vegas show and the West Coast Pro Show too. However, she did stated there's going to be a brand new ring gear during the press conference for Surrealism. She mentioned it. Let me pull that up real quick for all of you so you can. She said, well, yes, I'm considering it. Please look it forward. We all hope to change it soon. So basically, she's getting rid of the attire she's been using as a rookie and jumping in to have her own variant wrestling gear. I can't wait to see exactly what she's gonna do. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be very interesting to follow. So I think that's pretty much it. What we have for our news updates and everything else. Let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. We probably will be doing the New Japan, the new beginning in Osaka. There's a lot of things going to happen: title matches, grudge matches, whatever. It's going to be a lot of fun. And AEW Dynamite, so that's going to be also another fun angle. If there's any news updates that I might do by itself, stay tuned for that, or any news updates or whatever. So we'll be doing everything. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.